Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. This is your daily news. We'll take a look at some of the headlines and what is going on around the world. So first, let's just open up with markets and sectors. And I got this right here. You guys can see it for yourself. Pretty much everything is in the red, except for kind of your safer stuff, be it your Johnson & Johnson, AbbVie, Pepsi, right? These kind of things. And if those start crashing, right? If all of your safety slash dividend stocks start crashing, then you got some real trouble. I believe Microsoft and Google both report earnings after the bell. I'm recording this before that, so I don't know what it's going to be, but rumor has it that there is a possibility that Google's ad essentially revenue may be going down again. We will see. Also, to go around the market, there's been a lot of fear with the Chinese stocks. This is something that I've told you guys several times on this channel. It is a trading market, and it's tough to hold on to anything. Yes, you can make money. 100% you totally can, but it is a trader's market. And essentially, if you're just a buy and hold kind of person, you're either flat or down. And essentially was $100 billion have been wiped out on the Chinese stocks this month. And there was a report we talked about, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, where it was like 40 companies in China, insiders were dumping shares. And if you don't watch my channel, you wouldn't have known about that. And I've told you guys about these things, but generally speaking, again, this is for traders. You can't think of these as long-term investments. They're just too volatile, and the government can do anything that they want at any time. Regarding of government doing anything at any time, Biden is officially running again. As you guys know, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Trump either. There is a world where you don't have to like either. But it is what it is, and I think because we're probably going into recession, it's going to be tough to find any candidate that really wants to run, because it's a tough time to run, right? Unemployment's up, crime will be up, all these kind of things, and people are like, you know what? I don't want to deal with it. I'll run again in 4 years. On top of that, I've warned you guys about this several times, and it's just the truth. I think the most important thing right now, honestly, is be secure in your job. That's trumps anything else, right? Look at the headlines here on this one. The Gap, or the clothing store, is laying off people, hundreds of workers, and the numbers they threw out here in this article was 500 corporate positions, mostly in San Francisco, New York, and then that'll save the company about $250 million. So basically, 500 corporate jobs at an average salary of, like, say, $500K, something like that. If I do the math correctly, but I think that's right. And this is their quote coming in from the Gap. Our goal is to flatten the organization, increase spans of control to create more robust roles and individual empowerment, and decrease layers to remove bottlenecks and make better, faster decisions. This language of flattening was something that's Meta/Facebook was also saying. So basically, if you're in the corporate role, nothing is safe. And it was interesting because we talked about just the other day how Facebook, Meta, they were giving bonuses to some people, yet laying off a lot of other people, and there's a lot of complaints among employees. It's just a really scary time, depending on which industry you're in. Nate Silver is even out at ABC. So he's the predictor dude, and I wonder if he would have even predicted that. I'm sure financially he's going to be fine, but there's going to be a lot of cutbacks in various places. Essentially, there's a real scare in terms of company costs. You got to cut costs because maybe the revenues aren't going to be so great. First Republic went down again today. Now, this article says 27% down on the day. I just checked it. It's like now 40% down the day. It's really, really scary over there. This is talking just about stocks and stuff in general. This is something that, not enough channels do well enough, and I'll try to start doing a little bit more. But I just want you guys to start thinking in your minds, if you are into stocks, this kind of stuff, there are different sectors out there, right? You got materials, communication, discretionary staples, energy, financial sector, healthcare, and industrial and tech, utilities, and real estate. And it's fun to always actually take a look at, like, say, year to date, 3 years, etc. So in the last 3 years, energy's actually been the top performer. And it's funny because, why don't we have channels out there that are dedicated to, ExxonMobil, or to, something like Occidental or Schlumberger, or whatever, this kind of Halliburton, etc. But I know how it is. The kids, they all want to 10x their money, and they think if something did 10x in the past, therefore to do 10x in the next, couple of years. And that's not necessarily the case. Things change. For me, it's more like, hey, for example, Tesla maybe, 10x the last couple of years, and chances are it won't be 10xing again. It'll sort of go in cycles, and it's sort of how markets work. So energy's been doing great the last 3 years, and you can see here the past year, energy's still been the top performer. Real estate's been the top loser. And definitely, check these kind of things. And then, yes, also very true. If you look at year to date, you can see communication has rebounded the best so far. And then after that, tech. But this is where the trick's going to be is what's going to happen with Microsoft and, Google today. Will this be the end of the party? I wanted to compare some popular retail stocks with you guys. So this is a NEO, BABA, so those are two Chinese stocks. Microsoft, Google, that's American tech, big tech that is. FRC, that would be First Republic, right? The banking stock. And then Pepsi, which is, again, if I made a whole channel talking about Pepsi stock, Lockheed Martin, Johnson this kind of stuff, it won't be that popular. Believe me, guys, I've tried. so I just do the general news, it's fine. I make jokes about that, but because the reality is, as soon as you start talking great about Pepsi, people decide, you know what, Pepsi's overvalued. I'm getting out, and this is also reality. Pepsi is a big company, 300,000 employees, and also too they do keep raising prices, but there is a world where essentially it becomes overvalued as well, because we can't all pawn the same stuff, and that's essentially why you diversify. Because, for example, use the Microsoft Google situation. So let's say Google has 93, 95% market share in search. They can't really grow that much more. I mean, they can get to 100, I guess, but I mean, they just can't grow that much more. And so then essentially, if you put all your money in Google, there's not that much more in terms of upside. Whereas, say, just for example, the Microsoft, they say have 2% of all search, right? So they have a lot more growth potential with Bing, which is funny because we used to think Bing was a joke. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you were to say, okay, put all your horses or all your eggs in one basket, yes, you might guess right. Maybe Microsoft's going to be the better bet here. Maybe Google is fine, but there's not much upside. However, the reason why you diversify is okay, I'm going to put my money in both Microsoft and Google, because let's say Google goes down, they lose a bit of market share, but then it goes to Microsoft, and you just kind of balances itself out. However, with that said, if they both go down, if both Microsoft and Google go down, and for whatever reasons, let's say Microsoft's not making as money in cloud, or let's say everyone's canceling their Microsoft Teams, which I don't think is going to happen, but let's just say, for example, that they do, then suddenly it just means that there's basically less money overall in the system, and there's no escape. And this is sort of why I've mentioned to you that stocks isn't the only thing out there that you should be thinking about. In fact, I think job security is really key. Paying off your debt is good. Take a look at some bonds and just holding, cash. But to take a look at, for example, the performance, and this is the past year, and you can just see how ludicrous our markets have been. So as of now, I'm just looking at this at here, and it's kind of fun to look at the chart. I like to play with these things. NEO is down 54% that year. BABA 3.94, so flat. Microsoft negative down 1.45. Google down 14. First Republic down 94, and then Pepsi's up 9. And it's something that you don't see a lot of comparisons of, right? Everyone thinks everyone is losing all of their money, but that's only if you watch YouTube. It's not the case. Not everyone is losing all of their money. You're doing fine if you're playing it safe, and you're doing fine if you're, essentially opening your mind to new type of thing. And I'll give you guys an example. So I don't know. I mean, on the if you just read Reddit and YouTube stuff like that, you'll hear that you lose all your money if you're in dollar. I'm just telling you guys, I watch this every day. Now, yes, the dollar could come down because it's been on a crazy run. This year, it's up 7% to the Korean won, which I live in Korea, so we track this stuff. The last 5 years, up 25%. Is it 10x your money on the dollar? No, it's not. But I'm not going to lose all my money, right? That's the whole name of the game is preserving wealth. Is sort of the message I'm trying to get to you guys. The other thing too, which is something again most channels won't talk about, but I'll tell you guys. I have a lot of friends that are doing really, really well in Korea. This was a major announcement among my friends, and I'll read the headlines. Netflix Korea investment spurs surge in entertainment stocks. So we're talking about Showbox, Studio Santa, and essentially Netflix said, hey, we're going to invest $2.5 billion into Korea's entertainment industry. And this is after, hits like a Squid Game or The Glory. And I just want to give you guys an example of this is the Korea entertainment. It's sort of why they're doing so well in this industry. So if you can make a product for less cost and make a heck of a lot of money, That's what people want. And the basic gist of it is that one episode, just for example, one episode of Stranger Things, that final season, or the last season, I should say, not final, but the last season, one episode was like 30 million. That was like really, really high. They basically spared no expense, gave all the money, they possibly could, as the Dilfer brothers, I think their names are, or Dolfer, something like that. And yes, the show was absolutely fantastic, but 30 million an episode is really, really high. If you take a look at something like a Squid Game, I think they made that for roughly around like 25 million. So for the whole season, not per episode, for the whole season. So if you're a business and you have a choice, you say, okay, I can make Squid Game with Koreans, and I can do a whole season for 25 million, or I can make one episode of Stranger Things for 30 million. And as it turns out, something like a Squid Game may be your top hit for the year. I think it's a pretty easy decision, right? You're looking at like, 1/10 the cost, maybe equal, perhaps even better quality and less risk because you're not spending so much money. And, this has been a really interesting sea change. And it's sort of like, for example, how, things go in cycles. And we're just in a cycle right now where Koreans are just doing really, really fantastic in entertainment. So I have a lot of friends and stuff you guys may not know. I was a professor at Hongdae, which is a top design school. I used to teach TV and film over there. And a lot of my students work in this industry. In fact, one of my friends is one of the producers on Squid Game. So he's doing really, really well. He's always like bragging on his Instagram. He's going to all these award shows and stuff like that. And, some people are doing fine. And the example and the reason why I mentioned that this is an example is if you want to do well in this world is you offer value. And so in this case, what people are valuing right now and saying something like, for example, with the Gap is, companies are trying to cut costs as much as they can. And so can you do things for cheaper and provide better quality? Now, it's not that easy because obviously, you have to be in a certain sector where there is money still flowing. We talked about, for example, yesterday, freight shipping is down. So if you're in international trade, it's really, really tough. And again, you just kind of sort of see where things are going. And, if you want to ask me, hey, Chris, what sectors, if you're a young person, which ones would I be going into? I would be all about cybersecurity, 100%. I would be all about, say, something like alternative energy, probably healthcare, if you want to be a nurse, something like these. And I also think the trades, for a long time, and it's just, I mentioned multiple things on this channel, but for a long time, the trades have been ignored. But, I always like to hear from people in the community who are in the trades, and they're like, I always mention this one because someone's mentioning that, like, I can't remember which one it was, might have been electrician or something like that. But, some of these trade jobs, like, you can do really, really well, start out maybe like at 60, 70, something like that, and maybe reach over to 100, maybe 200K. I think that's a totally fine life. And you can start working right away, and they're always looking for good people. But that's not going to be for everyone. So that's why I mentioned multiple types of jobs. So don't think the world is ending for everyone. There's always going to be opportunity out there for you. But you always need to be upgrading your skills, keeping abreast of sort of what's going on around the world to where opportunities are, and watching this channel. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. And if there's any really big news about Microsoft or Google, I'll make a separate video about that after the bell. So do appreciate your time, and I'll catch you in the next video.